the Sunday night football game, I thought was a very good game. The,
Yeah.
the thing for me is it played into the Vikings' hand for so long. I mean, I believe the time possession was basically 40 minutes. I think it was like 39 something, but it was basically 40 minutes Vikings, 20 minutes Seahawks. And, you've said this a couple of times, Mark, that 50-50 games are 70-30 games for him. And look at us. We bet against him. We bet against a
Yeah, we
50-50
made a
game.
mistake.
I don't know what we were thinking, but we did. So
Yeah, well, I mean, if you watched that game, you can understand why we bet that way. It literally came down to a 4th and 1 in the red zone. And if they could have, Alexander Madison was rushing for over 5 yards a carry, and it's 4th and 1, and you give it to Madison, and the Seahawks were able to get the job done. But then they had to drive 90 yards in 2 minutes to score. But like we've been talking about, Russell Wilson just made that look easy.
mhm.
It was insane because, and that's why I'm gutted for the Vikings in this game, because they played a great game and really they lost it in like 3 minutes without Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook went out for like 3 minutes, and there was just an onslaught of poor play, of bad. Kirk Cousins felt the pressure, and he messed some things up. Seattle capitalized off of it. Russell Wilson smelt blood in the water, pounced, and then Dalvin Cook came back in. And although he wasn't as involved as he was last time, that was enough to spark Madison and for them to continue to play the game that they wanted to play. And were this close to winning. They were so close. And if you're a Vikings fan, I feel for you because you played such a tremendous game. It was such a tremendous effort on their part to knock off a good Seahawks team. And they were under a yard shy of getting the job done. And then after that, it was almost just helpless watching Russell Wilson do his thing. And man, is he fantastic. I know you could argue Aaron Rodgers or Josh Allen right now for MVP, but I'd argue that both of them have more at their disposal than Russell Wilson, and Russell Wilson is doing it when the time calls for him week after week. He did it against New England. He did it against the Cowboys. He did it this week against the Vikings, and I think the most obvious example yet, because he had been beaten. He had been held accountable the entire game by the Vikings defense. They did what they could. They applied pressure. They had good coverage down the field. But when it mattered the most, Russell Wilson came in and performed. I didn't have the chance to jump on this yesterday, Connor. We did our live show before the game, and Nick Severini was our guest, and he said it's non-negotiable that Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Deshaun Watson are the best quarterbacks in the NFL in that order. And that's just flat out wrong, because Russell Wilson is number 2 in the NFL right now, behind Patrick Mahomes, and he's playing like the MVP. He is just a phenomenal quarterback, and I'm taking him over Lamar Jackson or Deshaun Watson, even though I love both of those quarterbacks. Russell Wilson is just, he's crazy, man. And I don't know how else to put it. And if you're the Vikings, you're gutted, because not because you let Russell Wilson drive down and win the game, but because you couldn't get that 4th and 1. Because I feel like when Russell Wilson got the ball, you just knew it was going to happen, even though there was 90 yards between him and victory. I think you're more disappointed in the fact that you couldn't get that first down, because I'm not going to say that was a bad call or a bad decision, because I think that was a right decision, because just get the game done there. It's 1 yard. You've got the guys who have been getting you the yardage throughout this game. Just get it done. And it just didn't work out. And that's tough for a 1-4 Vikings team.
It is extremely tough for the Vikings, and I feel for them. And I think they showed that they're turning things around. But I mean, going 1-4 it's going to be a extremely hard uphill battle for them to make the playoffs. But I think they're gonna be in games, and they're gonna beat some playoff teams
Yeah.
down the road. And I don't think people should be unexpected by that. But I could still see them struggling to make the playoffs. But I think Russell Wilson is definitely there. I don't know how many quarterbacks are out there like this, but he's one of those quarterbacks where if you're on the opposing team, you're an opposing fan, and he gets the ball with less than 2 minutes left, and he's got 90 yards, you are holding your breath, and you are
Mm-hmm.
saying, oh no, like this man scares like the living crap out of you. I mean, I've had experience being a Packers fan and going against him in the playoffs a lot. And I mean, he is one of the QBs that actually frightened me at any point in the game where I'm like, he could do something completely absurd and amazing and win this football game. And there's not many other quarterbacks that make me feel that way.
Yeah, at this point in time in the current NFL, only two names come into my head immediately, and that's Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes. And obviously, they're the top two quarterbacks in my book. Uh, Deshaun Watson, I love him. He hasn't proven that yet to me. And
Mhm.
Lamar Jackson definitely has not proved that to me yet. Tom Brady used to be that way. Don't know if it's that way anymore. Drew Brees was, I don't know if Drew Brees ever was like that, but Drew Brees won you football games. And then, uh, and then it's reminiscent of Peyton Manning. And it was something Andrew Luck did a lot too. But of course, that's my bias as a Colts fan. But they did it a lot. Like, that's just me objectively saying they won a lot of games with under 2 minutes left. But right now, those are the two guys that you don't want to give the ball to them when there's not a lot of time left in the game, because they're going to run that clock out, and they're going to win the football game. And there is very little you could do about it except hope and pray that you sack them and you just run out the clock that way. I don't know. He's phenomenal. And I think I've said my piece about him.
Yeah, he's great. I think, we thought yesterday that possibly, I mean, him going, we don't think the Seahawks, we said, weren't a 5-0 football team, but Russell Wilson's a 5-0 quarterback, and he proved it. And I think this is going to be a difficult team to match up against throughout this season. They're going to play a bunch of close games. I don't think they're going to be in games where you're way behind. I mean, their defense just isn't good enough, and that possibly will hurt them coming down playoff time.